It says, Misha Yodav Tzubues. If someone's hands are a painter, so Im ein shom mamoshes atzeva. If there's nothing substance of the paint, the paint has a certain thickness to it. So not a marker. We're talking about a regular paint. When regular paint dries up on your hand, there's like a little thick coating that it's not easy to get it off, but it's a coating of the paint, not just a mark. He says, "Imei shom mamoshes atzeva, kiim chazusa ba'alma." There's just like the color. Lo yahav chatzitza. It's not a chatzitza. In other words, then you could wash on top of it. Sometimes you can't, even when you take like a turpentine or paint remover, you can't get off the paint itself. With the time, it fades. Avram yeshalei mamoshes hateva, afil rak ma'at. Even there's a drop of the paint, it's actual paint on your finger. So havi chatzitza. Achim hu umen bekach, the heine shehu tzaba. If he's moshe a painter, or he works the whole day with paints, v'chein misha hu tabach. Someone's a butcher. V'yada melachachas b'dam, and his hands are dirtied with blood from the meat. Oishu Seifer, or he's a Seifer, that's Vaisa Melachachas Midyoy, and from the using of the ink, so his fingers get marked. V'hu Rago Bekach, and he's custom. I mean, or people see him this way, it doesn't bother him. V'chol Bali Umanus. Among us, all type of messes of trades, of different trades. Ein makpida bekach. It's like within the trade. All painters don't care about. It's lo yahavi chatzitza. It's not a chatzitza. Ele keinim hu b'rei vayad. People that are not painters, if there's even a small mark on it, they work at it to move it off with benzene and everything, or to try to scratch it over. But a painter, okay, if a big part on the hand is one thing, but not a spot. Someone had a wound, al yada, on the hand, and on it is a band-aid. That to remove it is a pain, is lo yahavi chatzitza. Good. We'll go now to Yud Gimel. Hamayim tzrichon shevayu al yadayim mikayir gavra. The water has to come from a person. In other words, if it's just raining and you put your hand out in the rain, that's not Natilat Shadayim. Avu mamayim boyim me'aleim, v'havi Natilat, that's not a washing. V'chavish sheyesh bo balzor, v'heser es a balzor, azai hamayim ha'boyim b'koyach rishon, dehaini kiluach rishon avadai, is nechshav mikoyach balzor. Now, in the olden days, see, the Shulchan Aruch didn't have the plumbing that we have now. But he's describing a sink. But in the olden days, what he's saying over here, the meaning of the words he's saying here is, if you have a barrel, and the bottom of the barrel has a faucet on it. So it's the same as a sink with a faucet, and you turn on the faucet, water comes through the spout. Now the question is, being that the water can't come out, not unless you turn on the faucet, so is that water that comes considered koyach gavra or not? The same question, of course, is, if talking in our terms, if you go to the sink and you turn on the sink, is the water that comes thanks to your turning on the sink, is that considered koyach gavra? So he's going to say, no, it isn't. Why isn't not? So he says the following. He says, Azai, hamayim haboim koyach harishon, the water that comes because of your turning on the faucet, the first flow that comes through the faucet is levada nechshav koyach gavra. That alone, or only that, is considered koyach gavra. Aval mayim haboim achakach einam nechshavim mikoyach gavra el keilu boim me'aleim. In other words, when you turn on the faucet by the sink, the first bunch of water comes out is thanks to your turning it on. But what follows after that has nothing to do with it. It comes because had you not turned it on, it would not have come. But once you turn it on and the faucet is open, it comes automatic.
How do you measure? Shaykh to measure?
Huh?
Shaykh to measure?
Well, put a cup under it and the first drop that comes out.
First drop.
Yeah. Well, in Gemara, there's a whole shah in the Gemara about Bitkur Rishon. Also, like if someone caused someone to drown. So the first flow, let's say there was a dam, and you removed the dam, and it's hit up, the water came out and drowned the person. Are you considered a tzayach or not? So it depends. If it was the first flow, you'd be chayiv. When it comes afterwards, it's not considered yours. In fact, it could be also say it here, but let's see. Let's see. V'chein mishu tzarech litol es yod roitze litol es yoda derech habaza. Now he's saying, if someone wants to wash his hands through the faucet, what does he wash his hands for? He doesn't have a keli. We said before that you have to, that there must be a keli, and he doesn't have a keli. So how is it possible to use the faucet in the place of a keli? So he says that somebody wants to, through the idea of the faucet, he has to know shebikiluach horishain niskashasa kolayad, that the first flow of water covered his hand. V'yastem abaza, v'yachza v'yivtaya v'shvicha shniya. In other words, he could. We learned before that, but Netilat Yadayim, it has to be one splash on the hand. You can't do a little bit and another little bit and another little bit. It has to be one splash on the hand. So he's saying that every opening of the faucet is like a splash of water. So, but if you have to wash, let's say, going to the minhag 2 times, or going to the minhag 3 times, so what you have to do is you turn on the faucet and you close it. You turn on again the faucet and you close it. So each time the splash of water is like you're pouring the water from the keli. That's what he's saying, that sort of later, he says, sort of lady has to know, shebikiluach harishon niskasa kol hayad v'yistem es abaza. Then he closes the faucet, v'yalza v'yiftechayu, and then we'll open it again. V'shvicha shniya, u'mi she'eni yochel Yedeya, Lishar, someone that doesn't know how to approximate how much water was the first splash of water, Ein Loi Lito Yoda B'Derazu, so he can't use this form, this way, of for Natilas Yadayim. Nei, Umikoshkein, She'ein Lito Yoda Min Akia, Sheyesh Lo Baza Kotan, V'Kiluach Hudak. He's saying is that the mashal, I'll give a mashal. You go to mashal, he was talking about a barrel. In other words, a full barrel is full with water and has a faucet on the bottom of it. Many times, I don't go now, but they used to go to Chayim's. So there were people that they bought like a little keg of beer. Not a big barrel, a little keg of beer. And it was the same type of beer as from the barrel. And they put it on the table and people turned on, and they took it like beer from the keg of beer from the barrel. He says, if the barrel is small, then the opening of the faucet is small. So it's a thinner flow. So it surely doesn't come out enough water to cover the hand. So that's what he's saying, that if Umikoshkein She'ein Lito Yoda Min Akiyah, you shouldn't do it like from a kiyah or from a small barrel. Sheyesh Le Baza, cotton that has a small faucet, V'Kiluach Hudak, and the flow that comes out is very thin. In Yadalit, also Lecho B'lei Netilah. You're not allowed to eat the bread that is without washing the hands. Avo imreitze lichach yada b'mapa, but avo imreitze what? I'm sorry. Afil imreitze lichach yada b'mapa, even if he wants to wrap his hand, so your hand wouldn't be touching the whole thing. You'll say your hand is tamei if you didn't wash it, but imhu b'derech, but if he's on the road, and he doesn't have water with him, in Yadeya, if he knows, ki ba'oid derech abo mil mefonov, a mil le'achav, if he knows that when he'll go, he'll keep driving. Well, really over here it means he keeps walking. He'll keep walking, or he'll back up, 4 ahead or 1 behind. Yimso mayim is damos v'chuyev v'lechaz v'fonah b'abo milim elauza v'achol mil, either to keep going ahead or come back. Lito yoda v'achila.
Someone driving is the amount of time it takes to walk for a mil, or is that for a mil?
L'chayre, we're talking about time. We're talking about time, so you have to approximate what it would take. I forgot the exact cheshbon how much it takes a hilach mil. That's with pulse and everything. Avlim gam shom lemimsa mayim, oy shehu im chabura u'misyored rizpore mimenu. He's the only one from the group that's eating, that needs the washing. And he doesn't want to separate from the group. So in such a case, is yichach yada b'mapa, he should wrap his hand with a kerchief, like a handkerchief, or yilbash bata yadayim, or let him put on gloves. V'yeichel kach. He brings over here in the parentheses, if you have it, V'chein kos Rabbeinu b'shulchanai. The Alter Rebbe b'shulchanai says the same thing. Ach b'siddur kosav sheyesh chalken. There are some that don't agree with that. And v'amach b'tava bracha. So what's the amach b'tava bracha? That he shouldn't rely on this. Maybe he shouldn't eat bread. He'll do without the bread. I should have done this when we started, but in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the question: why do we have to wash our hands at all? We're talking about the hands are tamei. Everything is tamei. Everybody's tamei. Everything is tamei. So why do we have to bother with that at all? So, So the reason is called. I know now. The reason is it's called srach truma. Srach truma means that because we're concerned, what will be when the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, and the Kahanim will have to eat truma. Or not only Kahanim have to eat truma, there's people that a Yisrael, let's say, that gets married into a Kahuna family. The husband's a Kohen, so the wife is allowed to eat truma also. So then becomes a question that they shouldn't say, well, we never wash our hands when we eat, so why do we have to wash now? So because of srach truma, what srach means, it can drag something that could come out of this with truma. So therefore, we're nizar to wash every time when we eat, just like when they ate truma. Ha'oset tzracha tezvav. Ha'oset tzracha kaidem achila. If someone went to the bathroom before eating, shehu tzarech litl yadav lebirchas hashiyatza, and b'meila he has to wash his hands in order to say hashiyatza. V'gam tzarech litl yadav lesa'uda, and he's planning to eat b'meila, so he has two things in front of him. He has a washing for Ashiyatza. He has a washing for the Suda. So he says, Yesh v'ozeh kam misfrekes. There's different doubts, in other words, different approaches.
Which bracha do you make?
Huh?
Which bracha do you make first?
We're not up to that. We'll soon see.
So that's when the Svekas could be.
Akain therefore min anachem sheyito tchila yadav sheloi bedin the tilish yadayim wasuda. In other words, that he should first wash his hands for the ashiyotza. The hainu sheyishpach rak ma'at mayim l'chofne ha'achas v'yishav sheiv shtei yoda b'mayim elu v'yinagveim heitav v'yivarech ashiyotza v'achar kach yito yoda v'kedin netil shadayim v'suda v'yivarech al netil shadayim. In other words, he's going with the approach that for ashiyotza you don't need a keli with the. There's different opinions about that. A keli with the full hand. That some what they do just is, for ashiyotza they pour water into the hand, and they rub the two hands together, and they make the bracha ashiyotza. We don't do that. We try to use a keli, and we try to use it also.
Because you're not eating nothing.
Huh?
Because you're not eating nothing. What? Because we're not eating nothing after?
No. Regular time when you go to the bathroom. When someone goes to the bathroom in the middle of the day,
Right.
so they go to the sink, so some just take some water, and they rub it on both hands, and they make a bracha shiyotza. We take a keli, if it's available. Not all over is it always available, but usually in most of the homes, by the sink, they have a keli there. So you take it and you make a regular sip. It's not this, like the way you wash, huh?
We wash different because we wash like made.
I'm saying it's not the way you wash 3 and 3 and 3, or 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So he's saying that first you should do like a shracha washing set. That's what he says for the Ashiyotza, and then do the Netilas Yadayim. But over here, so he says, what she do? He says that first you should wash shaloi kedin netilas yadayim lesa'uda, not with a regular washing. Dahainu sheyishbar chak mayim lechofnei, pour some water into the cup of your hand, ha'achas, v'yishav sheif shtei yoda b'mayim ela, and rub his 2 hands together with this water, v'yinakvem heitev, and dry it, v'yivarach hashiyotza, v'achakach yit o yoda kedin netilas yadayim, a full regular washing, lesa'uda, like washing for a meal, v'yivarach netilas yadayim. Over here, he adds over here, v'im noton netilas achas k'sheira, yivarach tchila al netilas yadayim, v'achakach hashiyotza. This is the question, what comes first? In other words, there are some that say that you don't have to wash this way that he said over here, but you can wash a full washing. In other words, let's say like the way we wash for the Suda. You could put 3 times on one hand and 3 times on the other hand. And that washing will cover both the Ashiyotza and the Suda. But that was the question, you have 2 brachas to make. You have a bracha for Ashiyotza and you have a bracha for the Suda. So what bracha should you make first? So therefore he says that you voted tchila on the netilas yadayim, v'achakach Ashiyotza.
Ashiyotza before you eat?
Huh?
You make the Ashiyotza before you eat bread?
Huh?
The Ashiyotza you make before you eat the bread?
Yeah, then later. Now, the question that you may ask is, but don't we have a din of Toda v'shein Toda Kaidim? And Ashiyotza is more Toda than the so the answer l'chayra is very simple. Over here, in Achanam it's Toda v'shein Toda. So you should say Ashiyotza first. But he's saying that you didn't actually wash an Ashiyotza dika washing. You wash a Suda dika washing. He says you should wash like we do it 3 times on each hand and 3 times on the other hand. That's not the way you wash for Ashiyotza. You're saying that will also cover the Ashiyotza. So being that that's the case, so your washing really was a Suda, and it covers all. Therefore you make the bracha for the real washing, so to say, and after that the bracha of Ashiyotza.